Monday, everybody, and welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me on Twitter at @TheDanUrban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges and subscribe to us wherever you listen.
And the time is here. You got to give that 5-star review. I've been calling for it every week. Come on!
Please do it, for Scott's sake. And head on over to abcboxing.com to read the scoring criteria.
You know, another thing I did social media-wise this week, Dan, was I made an account on Mastodon.
Horrible. I hate it.
I don't really get it yet, but I keep picking up followers, and I'm not really doing that much, so sure. Okay.
I opened it. I hate the interface. I will never open it again.
I think I'm going to end up being the king of MMA Mastodon.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to rule the roost with like 34 Mastodon followers.
I mean, yeah, Mastodon's pretty... I don't know.
The only reason I joined that one, or made a point to make sure I joined this week, was that everyone was saying that like the app would stop working the next day, and I was like, all right, I'll make something else.
Yeah, I
guess now's the time to try.
Yeah, I don't think that was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man.
It's you know what? It's too big to fail. So
see, you say that.
It's not gonna.
I don't know. We'll see.
Because you're just gonna anyone that walked out, you're just gonna replace with people that want to work there. Whether you like them or not, it's a good opportunity.
I don't even want to go down that route.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to take the conversation that way.
That's not what I want to. I'm saying even if you hated Elon Musk, you get an opportunity to work at Twitter, you might take it just to put it on your resume for 6 months.
I don't think you know enough people that work in Silicon Valley, because I know some, and it's not really how they think.
It might be.
I'm sure there's some
good money,
but
there, I bet.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people that are like, you know what? They didn't even want to work for Twitter before. Like, they want to work for like startups. They want to work at other places and things.
Yeah, I could see that mindset.
I think that's a lot.
But
of
I would also my mindset.
Remember, we're older now, you and me.
My mindset is I will work for the highest bidder.
Sure, but sometimes the highest bidder also is pretty close to someone who's not quite the highest bidder, but also gives you better work-life balance or better other stuff. You know, that kind of thing. So.
I don't know. I went to AEW this week and I kind of got that MJF mindset. 1 penny more.
I don't know what that
means. And I'm good.
I don't know what MJF is.
MJF is a wrestler.
Oh,
for
okay.
AEW.
No, okay, I know. I do know he is now. Yeah.
He made a comment.
Ariel talks to him.
Yes, saying that if WWE offers him 1 penny more, he'll go to WWE. I like that.
Okay.
So
nice.
But that event was awesome, and that's where I was Saturday. I didn't see any fights.
Okay.
Live.
Not live. Yeah, I got you. But no, I did. I was at home watching the fights. They were during the afternoon though, dude. They were done by like dinner time, East Coast.
Yeah,
time.
I was watching college football for the early part of the afternoon.
Yeah, how'd you do on your bets? Did you go good?
Oh no, I it was impressive. I did an impressive 0-7.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yanni the Greek is sitting there and he's smiling at you, dude. He's like, yes.
Oh yeah, you played the market right. You made the right bet. How many excuses can you make, Gianni?
I don't know, man.
Come on.
What are your excuses?
I was on the wrong side 7 times.
That's a good reason here.
Impressive.
But yeah, we aren't talking about college football. We are talking about fights, not just from Saturday, but actually, I think more importantly, from Friday and the Bellator 288 slate that on paper looked much more impressive to me anyway. And honestly, it's not that I was that thrilled with like the bulk of the card. Like the prelims, I had very little interest in. I actually didn't really bother watching. I had some other stuff going on too. So I skipped the prelims. I watched the main card. You know, I was watching the main card, but it wasn't up until the title fights. I was like, okay, I'm sort of interested, but whatever. Mm-hmm. The title fights though was where it was at. These were interesting fights on paper, both of them. And in both cases, the younger, I guess, higher upside man won the fight.
Well, yeah.
Vadim Nemkov kept his belt, won the $1 million Grand Prix, light heavyweight. Mm-hmm. Usman Nurmagomedov totally outclassed Patricky Pitbull. I think a lot of people saw that one coming. A lot of people had kind of fallen for, and I will count myself among them, fallen for the idea that maybe Vadim Nemkov just was going to have trouble with the style of Corey Anderson. Did not.
He did not at all.
No, he looked really good in there, and Corey Anderson was just ineffective in trying to get the fight where he really wanted it, which was to the mat. He was in the fight in some ways sometimes, but really just never threatened.
Yeah, could not get the fight to the ground, and that was the difference.
Were you surprised, with his performance this time?
I was surprised he was able to keep it upright, and I was surprised he didn't gas hard late.
Well, he kept it where he wanted it to. So
I
you
know,
would think
so that's
that
right.
kind of goes hand in hand, right?
But he still had to defend 15 takedown attempts, which is exhausting. So
It can be.
you saw signs of exhaustion. His mouthpiece kept falling out
Yes.
throughout. So, but yeah, I thought it was a solid performance. A little surprised Anderson couldn't get it down.
I was surprised he didn't get it down even one time.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I mean,
that-
he did. He threw him down at one time, and he popped
All
right
right.
back up.
That's
So that doesn't count, really.
That's not really what I'm
Right,
talking about.
yeah.
Like, get it down and start getting to work. You know, he
Like,
didn't.
yeah.
He didn't do what he wanted there. Like, he got it.
Right.
He got it down. But I mean, was he happy with that exchange?
Well, no,
Probably
because
not.
he rushed it and allowed Nemkov to stand back up because I think he kind of was like, "Oh man, I got him down. I better do this," and he had no chance to keep it there. So
Those are the breaks. But yeah, I was surprised too. To be perfectly honest about Vadim Nemkov, I really was. It's not that he didn't have the talent. I'd kind of written off that okay, maybe he just couldn't handle the wrestling based on one performance, and you
Yeah.
know, shame on me, right?
Right.
Shame on me.
shame on you.
Yeah. Who would you pick? And here's a question I have here. Here's a little thought exercise, right? Because we can't have this fight anytime soon anyway. But Nemkov fought Yuri Prohaska
Yeah.
years back,
Mm-hmm.
almost 7 years ago,
Yeah.
back in Ryzen,
Ryzen.
right? 10 minutes it went. TKO, retirement between rounds,
Mm-hmm.
because they had the 10-minute round there, Pride style.
Yes.
Let's say they're rematching today. Just have some fun here. Let's say they're rematching today. They're both on top of the two big organizations in the world at their weight class. And they're far and away better than anything PFL has, so it doesn't even really matter at that weight. Who would you pick? Rematch, Vadim Nemkov versus Yuri Prohaska.
I pick Yuri.
Okay. I think I do too.
I think chaos would ensue.
I think Yuri would try
So-
to make it more chaotic, and I think if Nemkov is able to keep it more disciplined, it could really go his way.
Yeah, but I think that chaos is a killer there.
It is.
Like you're just gonna be in a fight because Nemkov wasn't. He threw a ton of strikes at Anderson.
Sure.
It was a very aggressive fight from him.
It was,
So,
but like also it wasn't. Look, Yuri fights a certain way, right?
yeah,
And Nemkov fights a certain way. You can be active throwing strikes, but he's still a little more collected in the way he does it. I think Yuri likes to make that chaos a little bit in there.
yeah. I could see this one. The longer it goes, I think it definitely favors Yuri.
You would think so.
Yeah,
You know, I mean,
That's
he's
how
got
I
he's
think.
got a 5th round victory now, late 5th round victory. Granted,
Yeah.
the man he beat was more than 40 years old. Nemkov is 30.
some would say he's the best he's ever been.
Some would say that.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
So-
necessarily disagree. I'm just saying, there's something to take into account. There's a younger man here.
yeah.
But I see that fight would be so awesome if we could actually get that fight, and we can't.
But
So-
we're not allowed to have it.
So I basically just wanted to be sad. I built in a sad conversation piece. What about Usman Nurmagomedov though? Here is obviously another one from the Nurmagomedov clan
Mm-hmm.
getting to the top,
Beeb was there on FaceTime.
and yes. I don't know if you saw Hectic One posted one of his, because obviously he makes those parody, I guess, type of kind of humor joke posts, and he did one with all the guys. They were like holding up the phone. They were all happy showing the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Connor on the phone.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Connor just looking all
Yeah.
happy in the beginning. It was really good. That one got me. But now we have Usman Nurmagomedov, another kind of thing where it's like two guys ruling the same thing, and Islam Makhachev, they're ruling the lightweight division in each of these two organizations, right? I think that's fascinating. But the real question I have for you: will Usman Nurmagomedov still be on top of this division at the conclusion of the upcoming lightweight Grand Prix?
Well, I have to ask: did they finalize who is in?
No, they have not. No,
is
but
is
like
McKee in it?
I would assume he's going to be.
So
let's
he
just work
has-
off of the operation that they're going to pick all of the best guys that they have available,
Okay.
him included.
And there's no chance McKee heads for UFC then.
I imagine no.
Before this
Let's-
concluded.
Let's just operate
So-
under the assumption that he's going to be a part of this
Okay.
in some way.
Obviously,
Will he necessarily match up with him? I don't know, but
hopefully that they put them on opposite ends of the bracket. So
Hmm.
that will be the championship fight. I think that would be the toughest test. And if Usman was able to get past that, the only challenge I want to see is him versus Islam for the Dagestani 155 world title.
I guess really the
So-
question here is ultimately who's the best lightweight in Bellator? Do you think it's Nurmagomedov, or do you think there's someone out there who would beat him?
I think Nurmagomedov is the most well-rounded.
Okay.
I think he can strike. He gave Patricky fits on the feet.
Mm-hmm.
On the ground, he was absolutely dominant. I'd like to see what happens maybe if he gets put on his back by McKee.
Okay.
See what happened there. I think that would probably give me more answers to how I feel.
I'm not necessarily sure that he would have as much problem. I mean, I think highly of AJ McKee, and I'm not making an actual pick here, but I don't know. That'd be tough. That's a tough one for even McKee.
I
think
think
both of
it's a
both
great
of
fight.
these guys. I think it's a wonderful fight. I hope we do get that. Shoot, make it the first round. I don't care. Just put it in.
Oh yeah,
put it
you
together.
know what? Maybe just to guarantee we get it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Let's-
saying.
yeah.
Make it happen.
And then
I
McKee
could-
loses, goes UFC.
Well,
there we go.
I think the idea would be if they can kind of control it too. If they give him a matchup like that, maybe he, it's a little more affordable to keep him. Who knows? I have no idea how they're going to try and play it from a free agency standpoint, but nonetheless, another wild card pick I'm going to put in there for you to potentially is Tafik Musayev.
Okay.
I don't know how much you've watched of him, but he's very good. He's got a win over Patricky as well. He came in and beat Sidney Lowe in 27 seconds back in July. I don't know if you remember that fight. But he is that was when we were in Canada, or not in Canada, but near Canada.
Right.
Right. Out at ABC. So, no, I'm interested to see him as well. I think he's kind of like the only other guy that I would kind of put in that mix and be like, you know what? I want to see what he would do. But ultimately, I think I would say it's probably Nurmagomedov.
What about Mamedov? So you got a shot? Islam Mamedov? Probably not.
Wouldn't write him off.
Benson maybe? Probably not.
I think it would be very tough for Benson to beat some of these absolute top guys. You can't rule them out, but I think he's had a lot of time in Bellator to try to get one of these runs together. It just hasn't happened. So
maybe Brent Primus.
It'd be amazing if he did it, but I won't buy it necessarily from Benson.
Brent Gogo's Usman.
He just one Gogo plot along the way. He doesn't even need to beat anybody like anyone else. So he doesn't have to beat for the title. Just get the Gogo.
I'm giving the $1 million for that.
I would give him the $1 million for that. Absolutely. Take the $1 million away. It actually goes to whoever gets the Gogo Plata.
Awesome.
That should be the tournament. I'm gonna start the Gogo Plata FC. I'm starting.
Okay. I like it.
You get normally you're paid peanuts, but if you hit a Gogo Plata in the fight, you get $1 million.
I like it.
And if I detect that you and your opponent have worked together and are splitting the money, I will murder you. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Heavy stakes.
I'll hire someone to do it. I'm not doing that. That would just be silly to bloody my own hands with this. We're never going to release this episode, so hopefully no one hears that.
Oh boy.
All right, let's bring it back. We're getting a little crazy here. Back to UFC. And honestly, I don't really want to talk about UFC too much, but the question I had for you, and this was a poll that I posted on Twitter because it's still alive.
Oh, is it?
I didn't see it. No, you were there. You didn't see the poll?
I didn't see the poll. No.
Oh, okay. The poll was this, Dan. Was this past UFC Vegas 65, was it the most skippable UFC event of the year? And that includes both what you know in hindsight and how you felt about it coming in.
Oh, maybe.
Factor it in with the fact that we lost the main event before the main card started.
Okay, I got you. I mean, of all time, I think it's right behind UFC 151.
You think
the
it's
most
that
skippable?
Wow. Well, obviously 151 didn't happen, so
exactly.
that's not fair. But
yeah.
We're just talking about this year.
But this year, I think so.
I think it's
we
pretty
lost
because
we lost the main event.
Yeah. It wasn't that great to begin with.
I mean, Della was the highest.
Jack
was
Della
the one I
Maddalena,
was
yeah.
most interested in seeing anyway.
Sure.
And he shined. So for that, it was awesome. But
right, but that was
this was
one element of
Yeah, this wasn't.
Especially the main card kicked off with like just a dreadfully long, foul-plagued fight.
I know. We'll get into that. I know. That was wow, crazy. Okay.
Yeah. That fight is definitely on tap in contested rounds when we get there. But yeah. So you would agree? I'm of the same mind. I think this was absolutely the most skippable event. It kind of looked. I didn't necessarily feel that way coming in, but I was very low on it.
Well, losing Derek Lewis, I think, is a big, huge hit to it. So,
well, 100%. I mean, shoot, like, no offense to Kenny Nzechukwu or Jan Cutel, but nobody's tuning in for that fight.
I know,
that wasn't the fight. Like, a lot of people were like kind of making fun of the idea of that fight to begin with, and then it ends up having to be the closer because everything just has to move up. No, 1,000 times no. They would have been better off just putting Jack Della Maddalena up at the top.
Yeah, or Moroz and Maya, I think, might have done better as the top billing.
I don't know that was the fight to get people to watch either.
Oh no, to get people to watch, I think you would have struggled regardless.
That's what I'm talking about. Like you gotta have something for people to want to watch. Although, granted, every programming thing is still gonna call it Lewis versus Spivak, so you're already kind of there because of this. Like, I guess Lewis versus Spivak served its purpose as being something to get people watching. It's not like anyone was doing, the old, 2005 fable about, do you see this fight? You got to turn on Spike TV and watch The Ultimate Fighter finale. No one's doing that with the UFC anymore. They're not texting their friends like, yo, put this on. They're like, nah, man, I'm binging Stranger Things. I got other stuff to do.
Take 15 to 20 minutes out of your time to register for ESPN Plus. And then turn it on.
Yeah. Well, was it actually? I don't remember if it was on ESPN proper or not.
No, there's college football on.
Oh, that's true. Of course, so. I should have known. And I just turned on I don't have cable anymore, so like literally, I don't. The only reason I know is when I write it into my stuff that I write for work, and I'll say like, it's on X, X time, X channel. But I didn't write about UFC this right. I wrote about Bellator, so I didn't even really know. But yes, obviously we're in agreement there. Speaking of agreement, we had a lot of unanimity at both UFC and Bellator for the judges here.
Yeah, some judges pulling double duty.
Yes, there was a couple that flew out from Chicago to Vegas on the red eye. I assume it's the only way they could have gotten there. So, you want to hit us with the numbers?
Yeah, Bellator turned in 25 rounds. 21 of them were unanimous for 84%. One of the rounds was an 8-9 split.
Very good. That's very good.
And UFC turned in 26 rounds, and 21 rounds were unanimous there for 80.7%.
To have both of them over 80, I think that's a really good weekend.
That's good
for the judges.
I think
that's
so.
And I think some of these rounds were not necessarily that easy either, too. So the fact that they got to that benchmark, I think that's
solid.
Pretty damn good.
I think it's good.
Yeah, little quiet clap to the judges who worked that in general. Before we tear them to shreds in contested rounds. No, we're not doing that. But we will get to contested rounds nonetheless. Starting with Bellator, sir.
Yeah.
And none of these were on the prelims, too, which is why I didn't bother going back to watch the prelims. I didn't have to. So I was like, okay, this is simple. I'll just watch the ones on the main card. So I think we got to start with.
Thank you for the timestamps, by the way.
Oh, yes. So when we do our. For those at home, here's a little peek behind the curtain. When we put down our little outline of what we are going to watch for our contested rounds, typically I don't do this, but we'll just list the fights, right? We'll list the fights, list the rounds. I typically don't put the timestamp on it. Dan doesn't typically do it when he does the outline as well. But I said, you know what? I'm going to do Dan a favor because Showtime just does a block. Here's Bellator 288. You can't find the individual fight like you can on Fight Pass. Not on Fight Pass, on ESPN Plus. Well, Fight Pass too, right? On ESPN Plus. So you have to just go there, and then you got to hunt around and find the fight you want. So I, going ahead, I was like, okay, I'll just put down the times for Dan.
That was very nice of you.
Because I know how much Dan complains about Bellator. So I wanted to make it as easy as possible.
About this one.
I know you didn't about this one, but in general, you complain a lot about Bellator.
Well, they should care more about their product.
I'm just saying, yes or no, you do. It's all right.
Yeah, yes.
All right, anyway.
I guess.
But
I'm
anyway,
trying not to. I don't want to. I want to be told every single time Bellator's on, I have to watch it. And I just don't get that yet.
There's honestly, they're in a good stretch right now, though. I think a lot of these cards.
I saw December 9th looks pretty good.
All the way through
That's Grand Prix Day, right? December 9th?
I believe so, yeah. And then there's the card with Ryzen, too, on New Year's Eve.
They have I saw a fight that I hated. I don't like seeing Ryan Bader versus Fedor.
That's not for that one, but that's
February, right?
Yeah, that's February. That's the CBS one.
I don't have interest in that.
Nobody wants to see that fight except Fedor.
Yeah, I think Bader even
probably
said he didn't want it. Ryan Bader was like, you know what? This really didn't excite me, but now that I took it, I'm getting excited. That's kind of weird to say.
Yeah,
it's like,
that feels like forced promotion there. Yeah. But hey, whatever. I mean, he's gonna collect a payday, and who knows? Crazy thing is, I'm not even writing Fedor off. That's how weird it is. We don't have to go there though. Okay. That's not the point.
Yeah.
We've got these tested rounds to do.
We got
sir.
some
Can
contested
we focus?
rounds. We can.
Focus? You're always getting off topic.
We can.
It's always you. It was not me at all this episode. Not even a little bit.
I'm gearing up for this round.
Nah, I'm just teasing. Let's go. All right, let's get into this. This round, and I know, I already know we kind of talked about this a little bit, so we might have some conversation here.
We'll have a little bit. Keep it respectful.
The fight in question was Daniel James getting the win over Tyrell Fortune. An upset, by the way, at heavyweight. TKO in round 2. Round 1 though was split, and it's kind of a weird round. So Dan, why don't you go over what happens?
All right, so the round kind of starts slow. They're kind of just staring at each other, and Fortune lands 3 leg kicks. On the third one, James forces a scramble after catching the kick, and Fortune kind of like goes 4-point stance in this scramble, and James throws 3 strikes. I don't really think they connected. Maybe the third one kind of was blocked a little bit. Gets back to the feet, they clinch, and action stops for a low blow. On return, Fortune takes James down, has him pinned against the fence. He's landing a couple strikes to the body, a couple to the head, in this weird sitting up guard against the fence.
Well, he's locked his legs around the one leg.
He didn't.
It's kind of that Randy Couture. Oh, you're talking about okay.
Yeah, so
a little earlier.
James is trying to stand up, gets forced back down, and this is in this kind of scramble, he does lock up the leg, that Randy Couture style, hold on to half guard type deal here. He's landed a strike every now and then. He's not very active, but he is doing some striking. I don't agree with Big John's assessment saying he's just controlling. I don't think that's true. Because James is trying to stand up from time to time. It's just not happening for him. He's trying to throw elbows. I don't particularly think these are that great. The ones I think he was hitting him in the shoulder with elbows. It's like I don't know what that's gonna do. But then he scrambles, tries to get to his feet, and this is where Fortune takes his back. Good Fortune takes his back and locks in a really tight rear naked choke. I'm kind of shocked the fight didn't end here. I'm shocked. This was a good rear naked choke. But credit to James, he holds off. I think he was in it for like 45 seconds. With 25 seconds left in the round, he reverses position. With 22 seconds, he starts throwing strikes. He's throwing with a lot of power. How many are actually getting through? I think I counted 3, maybe 4 until the round ends. He strikes for about 7 seconds, and then he gets 3 more seconds as the round ends from second marker 4 to 0. As I'm watching this, while he's stuck in the rear naked choke, I'm like, why are we watching this? Why are we watching this round? Did I misread the outline? Is this a 10-9 versus 10-8? Because if I don't see it 10-8 here. But then he does the report. I'm like, okay, maybe we got a split round here, but I think it's 10-9 Fortune. I think it's pretty clear. And that's how I scored it. I struggle to see 10-9 James.
Interesting.
Like I struggle.
I saw 10-9 James.
I know, and I listen. I really disagree with it. Like I know. Here's the thing. I know what you're gonna say. Why?
You do.
I just disagree with that being a valid. Why?
Why don't you tell me? Because you actually don't know what my reason is.
I think your reasoning is. I think you think he's gonna have more heavier impact. I think the early parts of the round, I think he landed heavier. I think you'll probably think he was not that effective grappling, and obviously the strikes at the end.
I think that's a good chunk of it. That absolutely is a good chunk of it. I guess my question is this: when I'm watching that choke, and this actually goes back to when I was watching the fight like partially in real time, because I did go back and watch the fight once for normal scoring, and then at your behest, I watched it a second time. You said you watched it 47 times, like Luke Thomas,
I watched
right?
it a bunch of times.
47 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. You went through. You said 4, right? To give you the real
4
number,
times.
you said you watched it 4 times. Okay.
Yeah.
You know this round much more intimately than I do. I cannot deny it. You're probably the of anyone on planet Earth. I bet you know this round better than anyone.
Possibly.
This is your Guinness Book of World
Possibly.
Records thing.
Because I was kind of shocked, to be honest.
Okay.
Still am a little bit, but I want to hear the reasoning.
Here's the thing: when I'm watching this, to go back to when I was watching live, I'm watching him lock in that choke. And it, for whatever reason, it just didn't look like he had it like in the right spot of pressure on the carotid. I don't know why. Maybe it's just like, look, how can I really tell that? I'm going to be perfectly honest. I can't give you a good answer. I really can't, But I will say this. He had it locked in. You don't know how he didn't finish it. It at least feeds into what I'm talking about here.
You can hulk up and you can use your neck muscles at least a bit to keep you in it. He was able to pull the arm. He's pulling here. He might be releasing a little bit of pressure. And then he's got to switch grips. He's got to go from traditional finish to gable grip to S grip.
Sure. As
the way he his finishing sequence in these transitions, he could just be a little bit getting through, allowing him to stay in it.
Sure.
I think it was a really solid attack. I kind of
It's without question, it's the highest single attack of the round. Regardless, like I'm not trying to dismiss it entirely. That would be stupid. That'd be unqualified, right? And I'm probably still gonna have. I'll bet you. I'm gonna hear from some people when this episode comes out. They'll be like, Scott, come on, you can't do that. It's obviously it's a round for Fortune. I'm prepared for that. If I'm wrong, please tell me. and explain to me why, because I'm okay with that. I'm very okay with that.
I'm okay with someone telling me it's closer than I see it as well.
But when I'm watching, I think you discounted the success that James had earlier on. I don't think he had success. I think he landed hard enough. What was it? The kick that kind of got him down, right? That started that scramble.
He took 3 kicks. There was no strike landed by James.
There was no strike landed.
Not
there?
a single. Well, no. Okay, I'm telling you.
Okay.
On the 3rd kick, he catches. Before the 3rd kick, there was no strike landed by James.
Sure.
He catches a kick. He kind of twists him around, and Fortune lands like all 4s, kind of like turtle, kind of, but standing.
Mm-hmm.
And James is whipping punches at his head. The first 2, I think, completely go over the top of his head. We have a bad angle. I don't think it connected with his head.
Mm-hmm.
The 3rd one, he comes up underneath, and I think he connects, but I also think he got mostly glove.
Okay.
So that's where I don't think he landed all that strongly.
See, I thought there was a strike in there on the way down. That looked to me like there was a strike. Look, like we've established, you're the expert on this round in the world. So if you're telling me there's no strike landed, I'm pretty much inclined to believe you.
I'm almost certain the first 2 he airballs.
Okay.
The 3rd one he may have
and I'm not
connected.
talking about that. It looked like he lands like a leg kick or something like that. That's what I thought I saw.
Oh no, James didn't even throw a leg kick.
I thought what did he land though? He just caught the kick. He didn't land anything to follow up on the way down.
Kick, and he throws like a karate chop and whips the leg around, and it forces Fortune to like kind of stumble and fall forward, and he lands in that turtle position.
How am I missing this then? I mean, I don't have it
in
in
that
front of me
position,
at this moment,
he
but...
has it, and he's going like this, bang, trying to hit him, bang. Then they get into a clinch. He gets kneed in the cup. They separate. They re-engage. Fortune shoots almost immediately, gets the takedown, and that's the rest of the round.
Mm-hmm. I will grant you, by the way, that a lot of those strikes are either blocked or miss at the end of the round, going all the way to the end of the round. I fully acknowledge that. I wasn't sitting there thinking, oh man, he's nailing it. When I watched it live, I thought some of that was getting through. But after I watched it again, I understood. No, okay, a lot of these are. But I still saw a good chunk of them landing heavy and hard.
I did not see Fortune in trouble.
I think at the very end of the round, that one of the ones that I will
say that
might have been the heaviest of them.
The final 3 seconds are the best one that gets through.
And you can't score this, right? You can't score the idea of what could have happened thereafter because the horn sounds. You only score the action that takes place within that round. Granted. Sure looked like he had him in a good position at that point, though. And it did continue into that next round. He obviously wins it.
Well, he knocks him out, but I think that's just because... I'll give you this. He won round 2.
You'll allow me that.
I'll give you that one.
I kind of saw a small argument for Fortune there, though, dude. That's not fair.
His head hurt his fist, I think, a little bit.
Dude, you don't know what his x-rays look like.
To be honest, I really thought this should have been around for Fortune.
Okay.
And that's why I texted you. I said, I'm okay. If you want to, what did I say to you? I urge you. I said I urge you to rewatch this.
You called me a very unkind word.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah.
We're not allowed to use that because we have the non-explicit on Apple designation. So
yeah, that's true.
And honestly, I was a little embarrassed. Like I have a family.
Mm-hmm.
Like my kids respect me. Why would you talk to me like that? No, I made all that up. Dan is a good guy, but well, not really. But now I listen. I respect your opinion. You obviously watched around a lot, and if you're telling me he doesn't land those strikes in the beginning too, that actually takes away a lot of what I was kind of giving as like a bit of an edge.
I don't. Yeah,
to be honest, go for James. If you're telling me he doesn't land, then I'm welcome to go back and even watch it.
I'll concede we don't have a great angle of it. We're behind the punches.
I do think we have some bad angles in this fight in general.
We have a bad angle. We're behind the punches, so. It's possible. Maybe they hit. Maybe Brandon Mason had a great.
Brandon Mason is the judge who saw it the same way as me with James. Yeah, but you saw it the same way as 2 judges who I respect the hell out of too. By the way, which is Sal D'Amato and Ron McCarthy. So look, I'm not gonna sit here and say these 2 gentlemen are wrong and that you're wrong or anything like that. I respect your opinions way too much and your assessments way too much. So, but. I am curious for some feedback on kind of the situation with the choke because I swear to you as I'm watching that choke live I'm like, does he really have it locked in or not?
I guess you can always make that argument saying, well, the choke looks locked in, why is he not going to sleep?
Because look, I've grappled too, right? You know that. You obviously know that because we've grappled a bunch, you and I. But I've certainly locked in rear naked chokes before where I'm like, oh, I got this, and they're like, it's not in. I'm like, what? Now I'm an amateur, right? these are professional athletes. I don't know what Tyrell Fortune's grappling credentials are. Like, I know he's a wrestler, but I don't know.
They said he had one rear naked choke finish before this fight.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I've locked in rear naked chokes that made people tap too, but like, it's not.
It's not an easy choke.
No, it's not. There's some intricacy to it, right? So I guess it's my personal experience of knowing that I can get that choke in and not actually get it that makes me think, well, what if it could be that?
I guess.
I don't know.
It looked really good to me. I think
Look,
James
it
just
looked
finished.
good,
so,
and maybe that's enough.
Defended really well.
Maybe that is enough to give the round, even on its own. Even if if just because he gets it, obviously it's a good attack. So maybe that is being the most significant attack of the round. Maybe that's where you're supposed to go. I would allow for that, and if I'm wrong, I accept that. I can accept being wrong and learn from that.
Yeah, and I disagree with McCarthy's assessment, calling it 100% control and absolutely zero
John McCarthy,
damage.
not Ron
Yes,
McCarthy.
not Ron, John.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably yelled at each other on the flight home.
Yeah.
They were probably arguing about this round.
Dad, shut up! I know what I'm doing. All right, have we exhausted this round?
Yeah, we've exhausted.
I don't think
this
anybody.
round.
Honestly, I hope you guys listening care about this round as much as Dan does. but you really couldn't because no one could.
You couldn't. Well, I was not that I cared about this round. I mean, it's just
you were just surprised that I understand.
I was a little shocked.
I understand. All right, let's move on though, and probably we're have to be a little more efficient with our time.
I think we will be
because we spent 10 minutes on that round, dude. It was twice as long as the actual round. Oh man, but that was good. I enjoyed the conversation, and yeah, you didn't even give me the finger. That was wild.
We're not on video yet. That's why.
That's true. All right, we're moving on though. The next fight after this one was Timur Khizriev, who got the win over Daniel Weichel. 30-27 twice and a 29-28. So, innocuous win for Timur Khizriev. We're only talking about round 3 here, but I thought this was an interesting round, the way it ended up. So let's talk about it, sir. What happens in round 3?
Yeah, I don't think there's any debating that Khizriev wins the boxing of the round. I would say that portion, not striking, just boxing,
just the straight up hands,
boxing and volume. I think he definitely had the volume edge. I don't think there's much debating that. His jab is working really nice. He lands a few good rights behind it, but nothing else is really all that strong. Weichel he gets a nice takedown, grabs the back, eventually locks in a pretty tight armbar that Khizriev escapes. But back on the feet, it's Khizriev landed some jabs, out voluming him. But like I said, they're just really jabs. Weichel then does land a huge knee that Khizriev is wobbled, and then he lands a strong front kick to the face, which I think wobbled him a little bit too. Like I said, I think Khizriev has the volume, but Weichel has the impact. Without the knee, I think it's Khizriev all day, but that knee, it did happen, so I'm on 10-9 Weichel.
Yeah, I'm with Weichel too. I think he has the more heavily impactful strikes in this round, like for the reasons you outlined. Obviously, there was the grappling element of this round as well, and I think that has to play heavily into the favor. I don't hate grappling, by the way, just so we're aware of the last round. I really don't hate grappling. I love grappling. I honestly thought there was a very strong argument for Weichel in this round. I really did. I'm a little surprised that it ended up being to the point where we're talking about Judge Mike Bell being the out judge here on this round for Weichel. I would have thought, if you told me this round, like, okay, they diverged, somebody had it for Khizriev. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. But I'm very surprised it was 2 out of 3. And, these things happen in MMA and all that, different angles of the round and that kind of thing. But, man, this seemed like a good Weichel round. To me, I thought it was a good Weichel round.
Yeah, I'm confident in the score for
I
Weichel.
feel very good about it. It's not to the point where I'm like, come on, guys, but I'm like, as far as what is this round, by the way?
This is a couchside override.
As far as couchside override rounds go, this is the one where I'm like, wow, I'm like the most surprised like that it actually went this way.
Yeah.
As far as couchside overrides, right?
Okay.
Right? Because usually it's like it's close and we kind of go that way. We're not usually like feeling very strong about the round when it gets overridden.
Usually not, no.
Usually not. Nonetheless, Weichel lost this fight.
Yeah.
This didn't matter. So, judges Brian Pucillo and Scott Jones. Scott with 1 T, by the way. He spells it wrong. I regret to tell him. But they both had it for Khizriev 10-9.
He could be more efficient, though. He saves time.
It's really not that hard. When I was a kid, I basically drew it like an H that was kind of sloppy and
okay.
had like lines coming off the sides.
Mhm.
That was more or less. I kind
Gotcha.
of still do that more or less.
I have the worst handwriting in the world, so.
I have very legible handwriting that is like not neat, but like you can read it. Your handwriting doesn't look like writing. It's just a bunch of lines
Okay,
that
Scott.
don't mean anything.
Real quick, that is the word the.
That says ha ha.
That's just one of them. It says that's the word.
So it just
the.
says ha. I understand now.
It says the. That's the.
No, it doesn't.
I got yelled at all the time in school. They're like, "What is this?" It's the.
Honestly,
That's the word.
I'd
the.
make an argument that it either is the word ha or it's +4. I
No,
can see a
no.
plus sign and a 4. No one knows this. This is terrible
H-E.
podcast talk, right?
T-H-E.
I understand. We need the video element for this, sir.
I'll
We
post
gotta-
a picture of it and get
fine.
it.
That's fine.
Actually, you post the poll. You got a bigger following. What is that
how about,
word?
How about you post it and I'll share it.
Okay, sounds
All right?
good.
All right, we can do that. Anyway, we got to move on. Nobody knows what we're talking about, okay? All right. We got Usman Nurmagomedov. We're going back to the title fights now, okay?
Yeah, now
Got the win over Patricky Pitbull. I almost called him Patricky Fede, which is actually his correct name. That would have been fine. But then I stopped myself. Got the win 50-45 and 50-44 twice.
mm-hmm.
Round 2 is the only round we're talking about as the potential 10-8, which was the majority score here. So, Dan, what happens?
Yeah, so Nurmagomedov, this is all him this round. He lands a solid punch, which, kind of off balances Patricky a little bit, goes right into a takedown, moves straight to half guard, and he just starts landing solid ground and pound. He was kind of doing body head, but these body heads were kind of on a little higher impact level. He ends up finally getting that wrist to trap the wrist. I think they look for that almost immediately, but he finally gets it. This is where he just starts dropping heavy shots. I think it's total domination. He finishes the round in full mount, landing solid elbows. I think we have all 3Ds. So I'm 10-8 Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, this feels like a very good 10-8 round for me. And I mean, it's not like Pitbull does anything.
He had no
He
offense.
does nothing
Yeah.
here, man. There's did he earn the 9 is kind of the question you hear sometimes from judging circles. Absolutely not.
Don't think so.
Not even close. And he got, especially at the very end, I mean, that crossed into the heavy, there's a problem here going on round.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you start to say, okay, 10-8's pretty easy to pull here.
Mm-hmm.
And we did get that from, the two traveling judges who worked this show, Sal D'Amato and Mike Bell. And nobody pulls that 8 like Mike Bell does, too. So, but nonetheless, I think he's absolutely justified here. Granted, I'll fight for him most of the time anyway because I'll get as many 8s as I can,
you have to
right?
Go 8.
You gotta
go 8 here.
You gotta go 8. I feel really good about it. Scott Jones did not pull the 8. I couldn't tell you why. This Scott has 2 T's and he pulled the 8. So that's just another way I'm superior. I'm not saying I'm a better judge than him, but I am saying I'm a better Scott than him.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I feel very confident in that. I am the better Scott of the two.
We're going to have this fight
There's
at the
more
Couchside
of me.
Invitational.
There's more of me. I got an extra T. Anyway, and my grandma was a Scot, by the way. She was an actual COT.
Oh, okay.
She was from Scotland.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Let's move on to the final one from Bellator before we switch over to the irrelevant UFC card, right? Vadim Nemkov, Corey Anderson, 49-46 twice for the defending champion, and a 48-47. So we are split on round 4. What happened?
I mean, up to this point, I think this might have been Anderson's best round. But the difference here is Nemkov is landing solidly to all targets.
But he won round 3.
And
what are you talking about?
I'm just saying, I think this still was probably his
You
best
thought
round.
this was better than the round he won?
Yeah, it might be.
Wow. Okay. All right.
But
good. Now I understand. Continue.
Yeah. Did he win all 3? Did he round 3? I wasn't scoring. I was just watching.
He was unanimous on round 3.
Okay, good for him then.
Because that's why it was 40. It was
right.
49-46 and 48-47. So there was one round that was distinctly him.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good for him then. But no, I thought this was probably one of the better rounds he had.
Okay,
I guess
all right.
I actually did think it was the best round up to this point.
All right. Continue.
Not saying. I mean, I wasn't watching the previous rounds to score, so I don't. Just watching for entertainment.
Were you entertained?
I was.
I thought this was a fine fight.
Yeah.
I thought this was a fine fight.
But like I said, I think the difference is Nemkov's landing to all targets. The leg kick is especially. I think there's a big difference there. Noticeable immediate effect on those. I think he's walking a little heavier because of it, not as light-footed. I think it's Nemkov. I'd call it pretty close. So, but 10-9 Nemkov.
Yeah, that's fair. This is the round where Nemkov's mouthpiece keeps falling out too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where it particularly became a problem. It was like, come on. But yes,
yeah.
I do
then
think
he's like, can I rinse it off?
Did you see, by the way, that Jason Herzog puts it directly back into his mouth.
He did? I thought Nemkov put it in for himself.
There was maybe it was a different round, but there was a
okay.
round where Jason Herzog most definitely just sticks it back in.
Oh, okay.
And I thought to myself, I'm like, that's not what we were taught.
But maybe he was like, you know what? At this point, just get it in there.
But then I also think to myself, well, Jason Herzog is the best referee in the game right now. If you ask me, who if you're telling me I need to pick one person who's going to officiate a fight for me to feel both safe and like the rules are being enforced, I'd pick Jason Herzog.
All right.
So I'm not criticizing the man. I'm just saying we were taught that you give it to the fighter for them to put in their mouth.
Okay. I didn't notice that.
I did. Maybe I'm wrong too.
No, you probably,
I don't know
anything.
anything. Honestly, look, there's probably a lot of people who listen and like, I can't even trust Scott anymore. He gave round 1 to James.
Most a lot of people are gonna be, who's James?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So,
but you know what? The people listening to this program, I think they're passionate about this type of thing that we talk about, which is of course, college football bets.
Yes,
college football bets,
obviously.
Right. Yeah. All right, we're done with Bellator. 5 rounds from UFC to get into.
Did you announce the judges who scored it how?
Oh, did I? No. Oh, no, I did not, actually. That's right. That is fair play. Sal D'Amato and Ron McCarthy saw it the same way as you and I did for Nemkov. It was Brian Pucillo who saw it for Anderson. So,
all right.
Yeah. No catch side override here, but you and I were unanimous here.
Yes.
We disagreed on the first one, but we've been together ever since.
In step.
Right? Yeah.
For now.
Right now. For now, yeah. Maybe we'll have to go into blows later on this on this UFC card, which we'll get into now, starting with the that opening fight, that super duper sloppy opening fight with a bunch of fouls. It ended up being 7 minutes of actual like real time longer than the typical UFC fight would be. That goes 3 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of time to waste of your life watching this. And this fight, it really felt like, because I watched it live. You didn't watch it live. It felt like it was 2 hours long.
Yeah, I know.
It really felt like it was 2 hours long. But that was Charles Johnson got the split decision win over Zhalgas Zhumagulov, 29-28 all around. We are split here on round 2. Actually, before we get into this real quick, I just want to point out Zhumagulov is now 1-5 in the UFC, but 3 out of his 4 fights that went to decision, MMA media would have overturned and given him the win.
Okay.
Now, look, that's not saying he was robbed, but it is pointing out the fact that even though he's 1-5, he could easily be 4-2.
Okay.
It's not entirely unreasonable to think that he could be.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about rounds from all those fights. So, I don't think we ever sat there and said, I think one of those fights, I'm pretty sure you actually gave to Zhumagulov, if not 2 of them.
Yes, and in the past, as I've had in the past, I shortened his name to Zuma.
Zuma, yeah. That's right.
You
may not have to anymore because he's 1-5 now. But again, granted, he's actually performing. He's just not winning.
I don't want to get too far into it, but you bring up a point. Do you think maybe the UFC? Okay, he has an official loss. He lost, but maybe if the UFC sees we think he kind of won that one. Do they have like their inside record of being like, maybe we'll keep him around just because we kind of think he has potential here? We think he actually did win these fights. We're not going to pay him his win bonus because we're not crazy, but we're kind of keep him around to see how it plays out.
I mean, you're asking me to speculate, so I will speculate here. I don't know anything, but
I
I'll
love
speculate.
speculating.
Sure, yes, you do, don't you? But in the spirit of that, I think they probably will remember. Let's say, what have you done for me lately? In that sense,
okay.
So maybe a performance like this still sticks out, and they're saying, look, you're still going out there. You're doing enough to win. You're just not getting the win. Maybe we'll keep you around. But if he goes out there next time and he doesn't win, it doesn't matter how many times they did that with it. They're like, well, the guy's not winning, and he's also he's not a draw.
Mm-hmm.
And, like he's from Kazakhstan, not like a major market, and he's also not the biggest fighter from Kazakhstan. That is, of course, Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Mm-hmm.
They only really need Rakhmonov, and he's fantastic.
Yep.
There's a lot of reasons why I could see them even after this being like, nah, we're moving on. But also, if he continues to lose, he's not advancing his pay scale in his contract because they escalate every time you get a win by like $2,000.
Right. Got it. Yeah.
So he's still cheap labor.
Yeah.
He's cheap labor. He's obviously a credible fighter. People remember him as somebody who should have won.
If they hired Sacha Baron Cohen to be Borat for Shavkat and Zhumagulov.
Okay.
They might sell a little more. You don't need to sell Shavkat, but I mean, for Zuma, it could help. Number 2 fighter in Kazakhstan.
I just feel proud of myself for resisting the temptation to ask Shavkat when I talked to him earlier this year about Borat. I think that was very mature of me, and I feel good about myself.
Okay.
That is There are other people out there who that's their business, that they would have a good time with that. That have a little more, let's say they're a little more lighthearted with it than I would have been.
Okay.
I'll give you a good example. I'll bet you Ben the Bane Davis, who
Okay.
good dude.
No longer with verdict? Do we have the verdict on that?
I don't know.
Okay.
But he actually just made his commentary. I don't know if it was his debut, but it was for a promotion in Colombia. He was doing commentary over the weekend.
All right, good for him.
Yeah, good for him. He's nice. He's a nice kid. Anyway, I could see getting the chance to talk to Shavkat, and he'd be like, "All right, we're gonna take a Borat quiz now." and Bane, if you're listening, go for it. I think it would be fun. He'd make some good content, but that's just not my style. Anyway, we got to get into this round now. Round two of Johnson versus Zhumagulov. Go.
For the first 2 minutes, I don't think Johnson lands much outside of a left hook and a body punch. Zhumagulov isn't landing anything hard, really, but I do think what he's doing is better than Johnson throughout the round. He lands a bunch of inside leg kicks, and they aren't really strong. But around a minute 30, Johnson does get going a bit, but I think Zhumagulov has built up a lead, and I don't think Johnson's impact overtakes it. I think Zuma's volume was enough to hold on. Plus, this fight was riddled with fouls and interruptions. The pauses in action really do nobody any favors with how so I don't think that helps. But I'm on 10-9 Zhumagulov.
Yeah, I mean, look, these are veteran officials here. We got Derek Cleary, Sal D'Amato, and Doug Crosby, who are some of the most veteran we really have doing this. So I'm sure they have systems in place that can hopefully work them through these situations and get them through. Having said that, I look at this, and I feel like this is probably a running theme from Zhumagulov's losses, is that he puts up better volume, but he just doesn't look like he hits you that hard.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever, he almost never looks like he's got you. Like, he just he tagged him, I bet you if you had Joe Rogan watch every one of his fights, you would never hear him go, "Oh!"
Not a single.
He's hurt.
Not one single.
No, not a single time. But you'd probably get it from his opponents here and there, right?
I mean, I guess it's also flyweight, too.
It is flyweight, but it's also, I mean, look, you would say, without question, Johnson was landing with a higher impact.
I do, yeah.
They're both
I do believe that.
at flyweight. Yeah. It's still flyweight, I mean, I feel like he's just not landing that hard. And it doesn't look, look, he probably hurt me. I'm not saying that. But comparatively, it doesn't seem to be hitting as hard. He's winning the volume, and I'm actually giving this round. I do think the volume outpaced the impact that was landing. Maybe that impact feels differently when you're next to the cage. Derek Cleary and Sal D'Amato, they saw it as a Johnson round. They had a better ability to gauge that than I did, for damn sure. So, I feel okay giving this one. And I don't love I don't love to just go with the volume guy. And it's not like I just picked one, right? Like I considered both, what Johnson did compared to what Zhumagulov did. I just felt like, I just didn't see enough from Johnson to overtake. Just kind of what you were saying. Yeah, I think so. So we're both on Zhumagulov here.
Yes.
And we both agree with Doug Crosby, the judging genius.
Couch side override. Look at that.
He doesn't need it, though. He's a Anyway, let's move on. We do have another split decision here. Probably won't spend as much time on this one, I don't think, just because we don't need to set up all the Zhumagulov stuff, right? Ricky Tercios got the win over Kevin Natividad. 29-28 all around as well. Round one is our split round here. So what is going on in this round that starts pretty quick?
Well, I want to start and say I'm glad Tercios is back to himself and he's not fighting the way he fought as a hobby.
Right, yeah. That was not a good
weird
performance. Who knows?
But anyway, this round is a kind of a gigantic scramble for a lot of it.
It really is.
Tercios opens up the fight throwing a spin kick to the head. I think it's mostly blocked, if anything. But Natividad gets a takedown off it. And while on the bottom, Tercios is hitting him with some heavy shots. And it allows Tercio to get a reversal. A lot of this fight, like I said, it's a grappling scramble that I think Tercios is getting the better of as he's landing punches, setting up decent attacks. He never really does get an attack, but he's the one in charge, leading the dance here for the most part. Natividad has a nice right that off-balances Tercios and a couple of body kicks. I don't think these body kicks were that strong. Especially not strong enough to warrant the reaction that Paul Felder gave them. Because
he's a Taekwondo guy. He loves kicks.
Tercios continues on like nothing happens. Like, yes, Tercios is shooting for takedowns after these strikes, but I do not think these are takedowns because it's out of desperation. Oh, I'm hurt. I better get it to the ground. I want nothing to do with the feet. I think he just wants to fight on the ground. I think he wants to keep it down there. Not that he's hurt in desperation. So, good.
There's one thing that commentators do is, they'll get excited about strikes, right? And I think a lot of what they're doing is they're getting excited because they appreciate the technique involved in it, right? Or maybe the strategy of using said thing, or they just marvel at that kind of thing. Not necessarily, thinking that it actually hit hard, right? They just get excited. Now, I'm not saying that's what Felder was doing here, but just in general, you see that sometimes. They'll be like, oh, wow, look at that. Like, he really brought that in a fight. That's crazy. They just marvel at that.
But this was a,
but it doesn't
a
actually
common
do
body kick.
Sure. It's just, it kind of tipped me off to something I was thinking of. That's not terribly related to this scenario. It just caught to my head, really. Anyway,
I'm on Tercios 10-9.
I'm also with Tercios 10-9. I don't really have a ton to add to what you said here. I felt good about Tercios here, but I think it's close enough. It's not crazy.
I wouldn't call it crazy. I mean, he does clip him pretty decently. So
yeah, I think so too. I feel good about it, like I said. So yeah, it's you and me, along with Derek Cleary and Sal D'Amato. Anthony Maness had Natividad here. I don't think anybody is crying outside of Natividad and his family about the way this fight being split. Not like Zumagula. People were not happy necessarily about that one either. If everyone ever gets mad when Zumagula loses, they just love this kid. I think they just feel like he's been wronged.
Honestly, I didn't see any MMA Twitter spats at all.
I don't think anybody cared about this event.
Okay.
That was part of it. And everyone was just glad to be done with that fight. Just like, oh, wow. I'm 84 years old now. I guess I'm done with this fight. All right. That's it for the split decisions, though. These will probably go a little quicker. Waldo Cortez Acosta in the new co-main event, because everything moved up, got the win over Chase Sherman. Unanimous, 29-28 twice, and a 30-27, but they were split on round one.
This is a quick turnaround, right, for Waldo?
It is, yeah. He fought sometime last month. It wasn't that long ago.
Okay.
Or was it even this month? I don't know. Everything was together.
I remember he was a very big reactor to leg kicks. Like, no, it didn't hurt me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so this round.
Round one, I do think Cortez Acosta landed heavier to the head. I think Sherman's face is starting to swell a little bit, especially around the right eye. I think, yes, Sherman landed heavy leg kicks early, 2 in particular. But outside of that, I think Cortez Acosta was a bit better on the whole. I think it was really close, and Sherman could have solidified it had he done something a little bit more with his takedown. He did get him right into side control. I thought it was a solid takedown. I just don't think the takedown on its own would swing it back in his favor. So I think it's a very close round, but 10-9 Cortez Acosta.
I went the other way. I think the takedown helps, into the side. And I think that helps enough that it's like, okay, it's actually a pretty decent differentiator here. That's not why I went that way. I did think he was landing some of the bigger strikes throughout there, especially early in the round, but also a little later. There's kind of a period of the fight where he disappears a little bit more, right? And I think that's where it allows Cortez Acosta to come back and kind of start getting comfortable, build a little bit of a lead, or let's say rally,
Yeah.
Because he was not winning to start the fight in the early portion of that round. And he comes back and he makes it close enough. Totally fine with it going the other way. I understand your perspective here.
I'm also a baseball guy.
Yeah, it was in the Reds organization. I keep meaning to look up his baseball reference. I want to see what his minor league stats were. Maybe I'll look it up while you're explaining the next.
Although if he had a vote, he wouldn't have wasted it on Shohei Ohtani. I'm almost 100% certain of that. I'll get that off my chest.
For the MVP race?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, dude. He got
unanimous
he got the award.
Means something. Ken Griffey Jr. should have been unanimous. Derek Jeter should have been unanimous.
But we're talking about the Hall of Fame. Nobody remembers that for MVPs.
He should have been unanimous.
Nathan, tell me the last unanimous MVP.
Wasn't Goldschmidt unanimous?
Let's say
Verlander was just unanimous Cy Young.
I don't mean what happened in the last 2 weeks. I mean let's go back even a year. Was anyone unanimous last year?
Well, 2017, Judge should have been unanimous too.
The answer was Ohtani last year. Anyway,
he was great last year. It wasn't better this year though.
Couchside Judges is no longer about judging. We are now a college football betting / baseball MVP debating show. That's what we are. Tune in next week.
Yes.
We got a lot of fodder for that one, I promise. Anyway, nonetheless, we're split here. You had it like Anthony Maness did. I had it like Sal D'Amato, Junichiro Kamijo for Sherman. Agree to disagree. Perfectly fine.
Yes.
Didn't matter. Cortez Acosta took over and won the fight. Next fight, we only have 2 more rounds. Let's see if we can get through these without too many nonsense.
Yeah, we'll
fly a little bit more.
Yeah.
And they're both round 3, these rounds. They don't impact anything in terms of who wins the fight. So Jennifer Maia We mentioned this fight before. Got the win over Marina Moroz, 29-28 twice and a 30-27. Again, it's round 3. What is going on in this round?
Yeah, I think this is a really close boxing round. They decided to just box this round. I thought both were landing, both countering pretty good. For a little while, I thought Moroz was the one who was starting to pull away as she lands that one that off balances Maya a little bit. She's probably a little off balance as it started, but good effect regardless. Seemed to be the one that was slipping and landing, but that final minute, maybe minute and a half, Maya starts landing some pretty solid shots, getting good reactions, snapping the head back. But I also think Moroz was doing a lot of the same earlier in the round. I think it's very close, but I think Moroz edged it 10-9.
I had it the other way.
Fair.
I'm not really going to go into it. We've already spent too much time on a lot of these rounds, but I had it the other way. It was close. I thought she's landing with a little more impact.
Fair.
That's pretty much where I'm at. That's all I really have to say. Sal D'Amato saw it my way. I think I'm in good company.
Yeah.
You're in good company with Derek Cleary and Genichiro Kamijo for Moroz. Okay. Didn't matter.
No.
Did not matter one bit.
Moving on.
We are moving on to our last round here. Miles Johns getting the win over Vince Morales. 29-28 twice again and a 30-27. What'd you see?
I think Morales is the one landing with effect. I think John's nose is all bloodied up. His straight punches are getting through. John's was swinging wildly. A lot of volume, but I think it's mostly failed offense. Lots of missed punches and hanging on to a single and able to finish. I like Morales. I'm pretty confident in that one. 10-9.
Yeah, I'm with you. All the same reasons. Mike Bell saw it that way. Adelaide Bird saw it that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know who didn't see it that way?
Doug Crosby.
The judging genius. Did not see it that way. Only one couchside override today, Doug. That's all you get. But you get one. That's pretty good.
That's a good one, though.
That's our only one,
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not true. We had the other one. Mike Bell got one, too.
Mike Bell got one, yeah.
That one's in the mail. Yep. And that is it. We got through it.
We did it.
Somehow. We got very distracted. My ADHD was working in overdrive this time.
We had one round where we actually had a disagreement. We haven't had that, really.
Well, sometimes we
we
quit the show and stuff.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Yeah.
I remember you quit a few weeks ago.
I did.
We renegotiated contract. He's back in.
You should see it. I have a lot of great perks. It's so good now. Oh man. Anyway, finish wise, of course, we gotta bring it back to the finishes too. Give a little love to the non-judged rounds. UFC had 4 finishes. It was this was not a memorable card in any way. There were no submissions, by the way. Only one fight ended in the first round. That being Jack Della Maddalena. Which, by the way, I already looked ahead. I can see that that's not your favorite finish, and I'm surprised that you didn't put him on there.
Well, I mean, his performance as a whole was my favorite.
Gotcha.
It was fantastic.
So maybe we need to add at some point performance, but that probably just bogs us down. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares what we think? Do you guys care what we think? No, you don't. No, you don't. You just tune in for the comedy and the jersey. New Jersey's where it's at. Anyway, 4 TKOs. Bellator had 8 finishes, mostly on the prelims, though. The prelims was like finish fest.
Mm-hmm.
7 by TKO, 1 submission, 1 submission between all of these UFC Bellator fights. That's a little weird. 3 fights ended in the first round. Of all of that stuff, what was your favorite finish? Sir?
Well, I really love Kennedy and Nzechukwu having Cutel hurt, gets low blowed. The ref stops and he's like, no, don't worry about my pulse. I'll take care of that later. I'm about to finish him. We're going. Let's just keep going. And he does. He starts up and he gets Cutel out of there.
Okay.
I liked it. He's like, yes, I'll deal with that later. Right now, I have a fight to win. And I love that.
There you go.
Now yours.
My favorite finish was a lot of fun. Muslim Salikov started with the spinning wheel kick, gets the job done. I mean, Andre Fialho was in kind of a lot of trouble.
The one to the body,
as
too.
As the fight goes on. He already lost a 10-8 round unanimously in round 2, so he was totally in the driver's seat, Salikov. He lands the wheel kick, and from there, it's kind of just the finish is academic.
You can't be a punching bag for someone and expect the ref not to stop it. I thought it was a great stoppage.
And honestly,
agree.
He's just fun to watch. Salikov, when he actually can get in his rhythm and get in his groove, and he starts throwing with kind of that precision Wususanda stuff he loves to throw. It's fun.
Yeah.
So this is my favorite finish.
I like it.
Yeah, I had a good time with it. And before we put the total pin on the entire weekend here, I just want to point out, I looked up Waldo Cortez Acosta on Baseball Reference. Okay? Because we're baseball guys, right? Found him. It just lists him as Waldo Cortez, but it's him.
Okay.
Same age, same height. He's got more weight on him now.
Okay.
It's all right. It's all right. He's an older man. But he was 18 at the time of these statistics that are accrued. This is all we have. This is the only thing on record of him. In 2010, He pitched for a team called the Reds in the Dominican Summer League. Now, he wasn't all that. He didn't really do that much here. Pitched in 9 games, 7 1/3 innings, gave up 13 earned runs, walked 16, and struck out.
Umpires were probably
2.
squeezing him. Umpires were probably squeezing him.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was.
That's probably what it was.
He had a 2-16 strikeout to walk ratio. Sir, to call him a former baseball player.
He played baseball. I
To
played
say-
baseball too.
He was 18 with a 15.95 ERA.
Hey, he was a kid. What
But
are
you
gonna
know
do?
who
And he
else-
found fighting.
You know who else pitched in this Dominican Summer League that year?
Who?
Wandy Peralta.
Okay.
There you go.
Love Wandy.
I know you do.
Love Wandy.
I thought you would. I figured that would bring it home for you.
Yeah.
And that is all the baseball we have on today's show. We are going to move real quick into PFL before we close out here, because PFL they're running the show this weekend, the day after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
Before we forget, because sometimes we forget to shout out the holidays at the end of our shows and everything. So let's get that in there. I hope you all have a nice and safe Thanksgiving and enjoy some turkey or whatever you guys like to eat if you're heathens and don't eat turkey. Anyway,
I don't like turkey. I'm a sides guy.
you're a heathen. I like the sides too.
I like
but
lasagna
turkey's
too.
good. Turkey's good. Look, lasagna's fine, but this is America. You gotta have turkey.
Yeah, for decoration.
You're a weirdo. Anyway, PFL. It's Friday
PFL,
night.
I will be
JFL.
there.
You will be there. I will not. I have to work in the office. The office being my desk at home, but it's still office hours, right? So unfortunately, I won't be able to go. I was looking forward to it. Supposed to be talking with Kayla Harrison this week, so that'll be fun. At least I'll have that coming out, some little content previewing it. But nonetheless, what are these fights? Because you're going to be in-house. There's 6 title fights. I'm not going to list them all, but are there 1 or 2 that jump out at you? The ones that you're actually that you're interested in, not just that they're like there.
Okay, listen. I was almost heartbroken when I read this. Shane Burgos is out.
Shane Burgos is out. I forget what he hurt. I was talking to him after, because he and I were like ships passing in the night for like the last like 6 weeks before he got hurt, trying to arrange something. It just didn't work out. Coverage wise. And so I texted him when I heard. I was like, yeah, is everything okay? And he sounded like he more or less like dodged, let's say a bigger injury.
Okay.
It could have been worse. But
Gotcha.
yeah, he's out of the fight. Yeah, so unfortunately that is the case. He was supposed to fight Marlon Moraes. Now it's Marlon Moraes versus Shimon Rice 2.
Are they related?
They're not related.
Okay.
They just have the same surname.
Because that would be really cool if they were. Because finally, teammates are fighting each other.
Do you mean brothers are fighting each other,
Or brothers
cousins,
are
or
fighters.
whatever you're saying? Yeah, no.
Anything.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, they are not related, and they already fought back when it was World Series of Fighting, before either of them had gone to the UFC.
Okay.
They've now both been to the UFC and come back to the organization, which now is called PFL, was World Series of Fighting. And here they are rematching again. It's very weird. That's obviously not one of the marquee fights, though. It was more interesting when it was Moraes versus Shane Burgos.
Right.
Although, on paper, man, that looked like a weird matchup and not a good one for Moraes.
I think Bud and Lad will be good too.
Oh, you're only interested in the non-title fights. Is that what's
well,
going on?
because here's the thing. I think Kayla
Julia
smokes
Budd and Ashton
Pacheco.
Ladd's interesting, but yeah.
I think Laughlin and Jenkins is probably pretty interesting. Sadabu Sai kind of came out of
Sadabu C.
Sadabu C. Kind of came out of nowhere, I think. At least in my world.
Well, he was part of it last year. He didn't quite get over the hump. I think he was in part of the Final Four.
Okay.
So yeah, this year he did.
I think Akhmedov, kind of being at 205, was he always 205? No, he was 85.
He was 85 because he had that really sloppy that they got super tired at the end with Chris Weidman.
Yeah, so I think 205 may be a better fit for him there.
I think a lot of these guys should be up at 205 instead of 85, to be perfectly honest.
I think it's going to be a great card.
Who was the best fighter in this field, who got injured and out, was Antonio Carlos Jr., Shoeface. Shoeface would have been here, but he hurt his knee, blew out his knee.
Okay.
So he doesn't get to fight here. He didn't get to fight, even get to the opportunity. He wasn't in the playoff field. He was I think he would have been the number 1 or 2 seed.
Okay.
But nonetheless, he wasn't in it.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm going to be in the house. When I go to
Akhmedov is his teammate, by the way. Shoeface's teammate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they had gotten to the finals, that would have been kind of an unfortunate. I think they're friends, too. Like, not just teammates, but friends. So that would have been an unfortunate
Scott,
thing.
If someone said winner gets $1 million,
I'm fighting the heck out of you.
We are fighting.
I'd fight your mother for that.
Me
That's
too.
just delightful.
But like I said, I'm going to be there. I'm a guy who gets there for the very first fight, stays for the very end. I can't stand it. People buy tickets and they show up for just the main card. Sometimes just the main event.
In my experience,
Kinda crazy.
at that particular venue, I think most people come when they can.
So
I think you'd be surprised how many people are there.
I hope so. But listen, I don't know where I'm sitting yet. But if anyone wants to put me front row, you can put my name on a chair. I'm down to take that seat. I would love it.
All right.
So.
All right. But that's it, though. You're not high on any of these other fights. What about Stevie Ray and Olivier Aubin-Mercier?
Yeah, I'm down for all the fights. I'm ready to go.
All right,
Like,
all right.
I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be excited for all of them.
And
I will not boo anyone.
You're saying Caitlin... You better not. Booing's stupid.
Yeah, I'm not a booer.
Yeah.
Unless you're the Astros and you come to Yankee Stadium, I will boo you.
Look, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, we stopped baseball talk.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's next week.
Okay.
You mentioned Kayla Harrison you think is just going to smoke, in your words, Larissa Pacheco.
Yeah.
Larissa Pacheco, by the way, and just don't interrupt me. Give me the second here. Larissa Pacheco has won all 5 of her fights since she lost to Kayla Harrison the last time 3 years ago. All of them have been by TKO or KO in the first round. She is smoking girls right now. She is just wrecking them. That's number 1. Number 2, Pacheco's the only fighter who has fought Harrison twice and gone the distance both times.
Bookends. So this is their third fight then.
This is their third fight.
You know, it's tough to beat someone 3 times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
But Frankie beat BJ 3 times.
Sure. Some would argue no.
Some would argue no. I would argue no.
I don't,
but
but
I think Kayla makes it look easy.
I was going to say, does that change your opinion a little bit of the fight, knowing that?
No.
Okay.
No. Kayla, easy.
So is she finishing it or not?
This time she puts a stamp on it this time.
All right.
That's what's happening.
All righty. But Jeremy Stevens, you like that fight too against Nathan
How can you
Schultz?
not like Jeremy Stevens fights? Guy comes out there, he puts it all on the line every single time. So
there you go. It isn't. And here's the other question for you: if this was a pay-per-view fight that you were sitting at home to watch, would you pay the, I believe, $50, roughly $50 price?
I think this is a fair price point compared to what the tickets cost.
But we're not worried about. I mean, we live in this area, but like most of the world doesn't live within the ability to go and pay for the tickets to go. So if you're just sitting there thinking about this is a $50 card and we just had a $75 card in the same city, by the way, in the same general building, although in a different part of the building, fight card, would you pay that $50 charge to watch this fight card?
Well, you have 6 title fights, so yes, this is a special. I would.
Okay.
But
that's interesting. I'm glad to.
But
thank you for sharing.
I would not if PFL did pay-per-view the same way UFC did, had 12 or 13 of them a year, I would not buy every single one.
But you feel like one a year
I pay.
And it's the championship.
Yeah.
You can justify it.
How are they even making money on this? They're giving $6 million away before fight purses, and they're only charging $50. I mean, tickets are very affordable. The worst seat in the house is $50. I think that's how it should be. If you're going to charge $60 on pay-per-view or $70 on pay-per-view like UFC, the cheapest ticket for any live event should be $70. That's what it should be. Not these $500 to sit all the way in the back row. I'm a little disappointed I didn't get to go to 281, but I'm going to make up for it when I'm at.
And it's a shame because that was definitely the best fight card that I've been to. That would have been worth your money even if you paid it.
Wouldn't have been.
Yeah, it would have.
Never.
I promise you.
I would have been like, why'd I pay $500 for that? I didn't see anything. I heard a lot, but I didn't really see it.
All right. I understand. All right. That's it for us. We're done talking about fights. We're done talking about baseball. We're done talking about college football for the week. Thanks for listening. And like I said, have a nice Thanksgiving. We'll be back with PFL next week.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for listening.